Salim, you and I have had this debate a bunch, and I'm curious about your opinion still, and Richard's, which is the whole open versus closed AI debate. And uh, do you feel like open is gaining on closed, and is that a definitive future? Um,
Undeniable.
it-
Undeniably, open source is gaining when you have this much excitement around something and it is a product and experience that any normal person can appreciate. There's so much energy that goes into open source
yeah.
that it is very hard to compete with that in the long term. The more niche you are, the more technical it is, the fewer people can appreciate using that technology. Like, let's say you do ion thrusters for satellites. Like, no one's going to build an open source model for that with millions and millions of dollars and that excitement. It's undeniable with DeepSeek that it's been catching up, and I'm hoping we can build one system eventually where, almost like Wikipedia, people can contribute to it. If
Mm,
no one does
Mm.
that, I'm going to have to do that at some point.
I have the same view. We saw this in the software world when you had Microsoft running its internet server, and then you had open source web servers. And the open source web servers just absolutely took over. It's 99.9% of all web servers are now open source. And therefore, over time, that will always win.
yeah. So my question then is, okay, we're going to be heading towards open source. Got it. Um, we have still a number of closed source companies. Are they eventually going to go open source? Is there a winner take all scenario here?
I think there's a good chance that if you're a purely foundational model, company, you're gonna look more and more like a telco, like huge
Yeah.
capex, very expensive to build, creates a ton of infrastructure that creates value, but it's unclear you can capture all of that value yourself.
Thank you for using that analogy. And I think that's the perfect analogy here. So we're commoditizing and demonetizing all of this stuff. I mean, if you look at the demonetization curves in terms of the cost per transaction, it's like just this rapid de-escalation. So how do you rationalize? So in the telco space, right, folks need to realize we had massive amount of bandwidth being built out in terms of fiber, in terms of cable, in terms of 3G, 4G, 5G, and all of the value was captured not there, but captured on YouTube, captured on Netflix, captured on apps on top of that. And so, how do you think about that, Richard?
Yeah, you can't build an Uber without internet everywhere, but Verizon doesn't get a cut of Uber. Yeah. So I think that is why at U.com, we haven't spent a ton of money on training models from scratch. And we've built a trust layer on top that sort of professionalizes this so that companies can really use that technology. And I do think more and more, thanks to DeepSeek, of our existing and now new customers are realizing, oh yeah, we should partner with someone like you, because the new model comes out in 2 months and I'm stuck on a 1-year contract with one of the closed source companies. Now I can't benefit from that anymore.
Makes a ton of sense because there's a continuous competitive, and it's a race down to the bottom. And if you become stuck with a particular model, you have no guarantee that you're going to be using the most efficient, lowest cost model.
Yeah, we call it future proofing, like
Future proofing.
organization.
So what does a trust layer mean for U.com?
A trust layer is highly connected to data and helping people actually train on how to use the technology. So we do certifications so everyone can become a manager of their AIs and of their agents. And we incorporate not just public data better than anyone else, because we've been doing it longer than anyone else, but we're also incorporating company internal data. And so then you can actually start to trust it. And then when you click on citations on U.com, especially in our more advanced research modes, you will actually get sent directly to the quote, and the browser will scroll down and highlight, oh, this is where I found this fact. So you can very quickly build that trust with them. We taught our models to say, I don't know. A lot of models, if they don't find the information somewhere on the web, they'll just make up something. And we're like, don't do that. So there are a lot of different moving pieces to making it more accurate and building that trust.